Okay, he got
can relate, huh?
he got out of the car, walked out on the mound, grabbed me by the shirt, hauled me home. All these parents and everything are saying, what?
Oh, it was during a game?
During a game. He said, I be no break my bones for nothing. He couldn't understand that you played it for the fun of the game, because he had always gotten paid. And he thought somebody was taking advantage of me. So, my Little League coach used to tell me, he said, if I come to the house to get you for a game, you go out the back door, hide in my car. That's how I used to hide and go and was able to play in those games. Well, my Little League coach also couldn't pronounce my name. So he asked me one day, Stashek, what does that mean? I said, well, that's Stan. He said, well, that guy Jesky or whatever, what is that? How do you pronounce that? I said, Jesky. So on the lineup card, he wrote Stan, S-T-A-N, Jesky, J-E-S-K-E. I said, I don't like that.
Did I spell it wrong?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't like that E, I told him. I said, make that a Y. Looks better. So I went through having that kind of a name all through school, but it was never officially changed. Because your official name, of course, is what I told you, Stashek. But then I found out later on in life that when you become when you try to be a citizen and you get your naturalization paper, you can write your name any way you want. That's why I officially changed it. Now, going through the naturalization process, you have to know the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and that is a process.
So they don't know naturalization. So because Stan was born in Poland, right? Is he a U.S. citizen? No. Have to be born here. So tell us about that whole.
Okay, that whole process. When you're here, some of you get put on a green card, which means you're here temporarily. But because we're sponsored, we had to go through the registration process between the 1st and 15th of every January, every year. And they check to see, did you have any criminal activities and all this other stuff. Well, I got tired of filling out that report as I got older. So, naturally, I ended up changing my name. But, I will tell you that the fortunate part of meeting the kids that I did is that in 1959, my mother died. She had complications. My dad now had 4 boys to feed. And I know you can't do this in this day and age, but I told my dad, I said, I'm going to stay with friends so we have one less mouth to feed. So I left home at 15 years of age. I'm just staying with friends. My dad said, well, if you ever get to the point where you want to come back, that's fine. Well, unfortunately, I never had to go back. But that's when I left home, in the year of 59, and I was all on my own. I went to work in a gas station on Saturdays so that I could still continue on in school. Well, athletics was a big part of my life, so I started playing them in high school. I played football, basketball, baseball, and I ended up signing, after high school, I ended up signing a professional baseball contract in the Atlanta Braves organization. So they sent me to the minor leagues. I was there for 2 years, and unfortunately, I wasn't quite good enough to make the majors. But the good part that happened is when I was home in the off season, I managed to get a coaching job, coaching high school basketball in the off season. So that's how my coaching started, and that's why 50 years later I'm still coaching.
So you were still in high school then?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you were brought into the minor leagues, you were 18?
I was 18 years old, yep, just out of high school.
You graduated from high school.
Mm-hmm.
You got your naturalization, you became a U.S. citizen
Yeah.
at what age?
I was 21. About naturalization. Yeah. So My dad, later on, he felt, I don't know if that was a good thing or not, because he sort of felt like I sort of gave my name away, if that's a good way to put it.
Lots of people were doing that.
Yeah, they were.
Easier to pronounce.
It's easier to pronounce, and I think if you go through people's lives right now, you'll see a lot of them were born in one thing and ended up another. So, but anyway.
So were you still in Minnesota at that time?
We were still in St. Paul, and when I came back, of course, I started coaching in high school. But then one of my friends said, hey, you'll never get anywhere if you don't get your college degree. So I started going back to college. It took me 10 years, part-time, to get my college degree. And that worked out great because eventually the rules changed as far as what you could coach and teach. And that you had to be a college graduate. And after that, of course, I went on to get a master's degree because I felt that you can never get enough education. Yep. And then sort of giving you the quick synopsis through the years. But I feel very blessed that when I think back what my dad told me, I mean, I might have never been born, may have never survived, because I have also survived a heart attack 10 years ago. So, as I told you, 9 lives, and maybe it's even more than that, but I've been very blessed in my life. I have 2 great kids. They're both professionals. And by the way, I do live in Denver. So, I live over at Walnut Springs. But,
And now you're retired from teaching?
well, I've never retired. I just love doing something. I've been in Kuiper College for 7 years. I teach a class there. I also have the men's basketball team there. We've been very successful, so that's been very good. So I don't know what time you're out of here, but I would like to answer some questions if I can, because I've just sort of briefly skipped through this stuff. Yes.
You said that when your dad was going to the borderline of the Allies, you said he got shot in the arm. Did the Allies shoot him?
No, I don't know. He didn't know where the bullets came from, but you got to remember, there's bombs falling, there's bullets flying all over the place, and you're just hoping you don't get hit. I mean, he told me that. I mean, he ended up hitting the bicycle into a ditch with us. But then, as soon as we hit the ditch, the bomb went off behind him. Yes.
So were you ever drafted into the Vietnam War?
No. No, Vietnam War happened in the 70s. Fortunately, I was in education, and in those days they had such a thing called 4F. In other words, if you were in education, they wanted to keep you here. That's a good question. I don't think they have that 4F classification anymore. Yes?
You played baseball, and the Braves signed you and you wanted to do the minors and you did that stuff. Once they told you, like, you didn't make the big leagues, I should say, did you just stop playing baseball? Or did
No, what happened, here's what, maybe I better explain that. After my second year, it was between me and another guy to see who goes to the parent club for spring training. Well, they took the other guy. So then I asked them, what happens to me? They said, well, you go back to Macon for a 3rd year. Well, in the meantime, when I was in the off season, I got offered a chance to teach, coach, athletic director, and I said, I will do that if you match my salary, which they did.
Wow.
So I'm glad you asked that, because that's really how I got out of baseball. Is I love coaching and I love teaching. Yes.
First, what year did you move to Michigan? And second, could you teach us in Polish?
Czy ty umiesz gadać po polsku?
What?
Do you want to speak Polish?
Yeah.
Jak się masz? How would you like that? Jak się masz?
Every
How
time.
are you?
Jak się masz?
So if you go home tonight,
Yeah.
go to your parents and say, Jak się masz? Okay? Got that? Jak się masz? That's how are you? Now, at night, go both to your mom and dad and say, Ja kocham cię. That means I love you.
I don't love my dad.
Well, all about phone. Yes.
When your dad picked you up from the baby concentration camp,
Yes.
was like the concentration camps like still going on? Like
It was already bombed.
Oh, they were already bombed. Okay.
Yeah, because a lot of the building, everything, once the Allies start hitting Germany, they start bombing everything. Fortunately, the wing that I was in, or the place that I was in, my dad said, happened to still be intact. And the only reason he knew it was me, because they sort of branded you, you know, they made sure that they could identify you. Yes.
What did you eat like when you were on the boat when you were seasick?
What did I eat?
Yeah.
Soup. Now, don't ask me what kind it was, because the tastes are terrible. And I'll be very honest with you, I'll share with you, I make my own soups. Yes.
Two things. How did your mom die, and how did you lose your wife?
Okay. My mother died because she had heart disease that they didn't detect. She actually had it before we were sponsored over. They never detected it there. They didn't have the sophisticated things that they have now. And my wife was a blind date. So that's the best way I can tell you.
And we need to know how you moved to Michigan.
All right, I will tell you how I moved to Michigan. Originally, I was working in a Catholic high school in St. Paul, and they closed their doors. So you start looking for jobs. I ended up getting a job in Iron Mountain, Michigan.
Jeez, way in the UP.
Yeah. Matter of fact, Tom Izzo used to be in my basketball team. Tom Izzo, the coach at Michigan State, when he was in high school, he was in my basketball camp. Because I used to coach basketball up there. Same thing with Steve Mariucci. How many of you know who Steve Mariucci is? Steve Mariucci used to coach the Lions. He was a quarterback. They both went on to Northern Michigan University. Tom Izzo ended up being the point guard. Steve Mariucci ended up being the quarterback for Northern Michigan. They both went on to great careers. I was there for 14 years, and then I decided to take an administrative job at Zeeland, which is your neighboring school district. And I came down to Zeeland. I was there for 20 years. When I retired, because I was spending 90 hours a week. You remember, athletic directors don't go home at 3:30.
True.
Yes, you got your hand up. I don't want to rigor mortis or something.
When you coach basketball and you play with other people, did you ever play?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a high school All-American.
Okay, and when you played, do you know anybody now who ended up being like an NBA player?
I used to play with NBA players. I used to play for, I told you, I'm only cutting the surface. I used to play with the Midwest Continentals. They were an all-black basketball team. I grew up in the slums of St. Paul. And I had enough personality where they sort of adopted me. So I played with the Midwest Continentals. They were an all-black barnstorming basketball team. We played all over the country, Chicago, Detroit. And I was the only white guy on an all-black team. And if you don't think that's scary, go to Chicago Stadium where the fans are black, the referees are black, all the players are black, and you're the only white guy in the whole stadium.
Can you guys know? Oreo.
Yeah, I've been that guy.
Yeah. Yes, he said he had to pedal almost 5 miles before he got to the Allied lines.
Through all that.
Yes.
How did the babies at the concentration camp? What did they even do?
Well, you were there. If you got sick and died, that's the way it goes. You were fed water and greens. Not milk. Water and greens. That was your diet. I was so skinny and so malnutrition I couldn't sit up. So And that comes from my dad because he said he couldn't believe that I'd be still alive when he picked me up. Because I was this big. And I was 2 years old.